Afternoon. Welcome to the BACP Business Education Workshop webinar series. We have adapted our regular business education workshops at City Hall into these webinars until further notice. I want to inform you that business license can be processed by visiting chicagobusinessdirect.org. All BACP offices are open to the public. Please be advised that masks are required at all BACP facilities and 6 feet of social distance must be maintained at all times. If you are a part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining us by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. I will put that email in the chat. If you want to learn more about this program, please visit chicago.gov/business education. Also, you can receive targeted emergency alerts for the business community by opting into Shy Biz Emergency Alerts. If you are interested, please visit chicago.gov/Shy Biz Alerts. We would like to encourage all attendees to ask questions. Please use the chat box and send your questions to all panelists. There will be a Q&A session at the end of this presentation. Today's panel discussion is entitled Celebrating and Learning from Black-Owned Businesses, moderated by BACP-owned Chief Small Business Officer Kenya Merritt. At this time, I will now turn this panel discussion over to Ms. Kenya.
Thank you so much, Stella, and welcome to all of our attendees to today's panel conversation. We are super excited to have this distinguished group of entrepreneurs and people that are doing essentially great work in Chicago to support our small business ecosystem. Join us today in celebration of Black Business Month. So joining us today for our panel conversation is Kimberly Moore, president of KDM Engineering. And I've been a fan of Kimberly's from afar for a while, for a couple of years now, and watching her transition in the way that she's grown her business by leaps and bounds over the past few years. And she is definitely an example, not only for women in engineering, but I think for people that are looking to explore the field of STEM. So we're super excited to have Kimberly here to share her journey and her experience with leading one of Chicago's top engineering firms. So we're super excited to have Kimberly here. Next, we have Vincent Williams, who is only the 5th president and chief executive officer for the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. But we know that's only one of many hats that Vincent wears. And so we'll hear a little bit more about those other hats that he wears. But we're super excited to have Vincent here. Vincent has been a longtime partner with the city of Chicago from his days at YWCA, where he was supporting entrepreneurs and businesses, getting them off the ground started, and those that were already started, helping them to scale and grow. And so we're excited to have Vincent here to talk about all of the great work that he's doing in his organization, as well as some of his side hustles. Next, we have Trez Pugh. If you have never been to Sip and Savor on the South Side, let me tell you, you are missing out. That is the place to be. And so we're excited to have Trez. Again, he is a man of many hats. Not only is he the CEO of Sip and Savor Hospitality Group, he is like doing so many different things. He just launched a new brand, Sip and Savor. What is it? Is it liquor? It's a little bit some extra that you can put into your coffee. And so we're excited to have Trez here to talk about his new ventures as well. So with that being said, we only have a little bit of time, but we want to make sure that we leave our attendees here with nuggets because, again, we have a very distinguished panel that's extremely busy. So we want to get as much as we can from them within this short period of time, as well as allow some time for our audience to ask questions. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and we'll get started with you, Kimberly. You are currently the president and founder of an engineering firm with offices in different cities, not only here in Chicago, but Baltimore and also Philadelphia. This is an industry where, number one, we don't see a lot of women, but number two, we don't see a lot of people of color. What inspired you to start your own engineering firm? And then talk to us about some of those obstacles that you've encountered.
So my perceived hitting the ceiling is what made me, start my own engineering firm. And my apologies for any noise in the background. I'm in a conference center. But I felt like I couldn't, I was young. I felt like I couldn't go any higher where I was. So I decided to start my own business. It wasn't my first business. It's my first business in the industry. But it wasn't until I actually made the jump and I got out there and realized how actually difficult it was and how few role models I had to really go after and ask questions and try to find out and ask to be my mentor. So my mentors were actually allies that didn't look like me, but they believed in what I was trying to do and what my vision was. So I'm thankful for them.
That's awesome. I think, I just want to, throughout the panel conversation, attendees, I will try and pin just key things that I've heard from our panelists. So one of the things that I heard you say that really sticks out for me is that, like, in your journey, you didn't see people that looked like you, but that didn't stop you, right? Like, you looked to people that were doing well and you gleaned what you could. And so that's extremely important for us, especially for people of color. Like, for me, I'll just by nature, you want and you can relate to people that look like you, but being open to say, like, there are people from other ethnicities, from other groups that I can potentially learn from, and being open to that. Thank you so much for that, Kimberly. So Vincent, the main objective of Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council is to advocate for minority suppliers. Talk to us about what are some of the steps to becoming a supplier for a big organization. So a lot of times when people think about suppliers, they think about just the city of Chicago or just other public entities, but we know that there's opportunities outside of the public sector. So talk to us about what does it take to become a supplier for some of these huge entities, and just like what does it look like in maintaining that type of relationship with CMSD?
CMSDC, yeah. Thanks so much, Kenya. And glad to be on this panel with such distinguished business owners as yourself, Kim and Trez. Kim, I know you and I go way back, so good to see you. I'm actually on the call today from San Juan. I'm on vacation, but I was so committed to this, Kenya. I said, I'm going to do it. And to boot, today is my birthday. So I'm really doing this for you. Kenya called, I said I'm on it. So let me tell you that's attending today's Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. We were actually founded here in Chicago back in 1968. We're the first organization that was about supplier diversity. A group of white business owners got together at that time and said, hey, during the civil unrest of the Democratic National Convention, we got to do better. We got to make sure that we're intentionally going after diverse businesses, those businesses that are Black owned, those businesses that are Latino owned, those businesses that are Asian owned, and those businesses that are Native American owned. Let's intentionally and strategically position ourselves to do business with them. And then, of course, from those minority groups, you end up having, women certifications and LGBT certifications, as well as veteran certifications. So that's what my organization does, is we certify these businesses and then connect them with our corporate partners. These corporate partners are, of course, municipalities like the city of Chicago, state of Illinois, also corporations, Boeing, McDonald's, AbbVie, Walgreens, Allstate, financial institutions, BMO Harris, PNC, CIBC. Essentially what we're doing is, as you mentioned earlier, Kenya, is creating this ecosystem of businesses, because as many entrepreneurs know, and those that are in the entrepreneurial mindset, this can get lonely, right? You can feel like you're in this space by yourself. Well, what we're saying is, no, you're not in it alone. We have an ecosystem of support, a network that we can help you get your business corporate ready so that you can do business with some of these major corporations. Kim, I know with KDM, you've been a certified minority business for a number of years now. You've received several awards. I too am a big fan and have been watching your career path. I'm looking forward to the opening of your new facility over there near Goose Island, right? And so again, what we're hoping to do is provide these resources collectively for minority businesses. And what I like to say about that is, this time now, we've seen essentially what happened 50-something years ago when my organization was created, repeat itself. That same civil unrest reared its head during the civil unrest of last summer after the George Floyd killings and the Breonna Taylor verdicts. And so it made organizations like mine and BACP even more relevant, right? Because we are providing these resources. I love that we're doing this in celebration of Black Business Month too, because we know that there's some disparities there as well. And what we're hoping to do collectively is work together to say, hey, we have access to capital. Hey, we can get you ready to deal with, bonding, insurance, some of the other necessary requirements to have these major corporate contracts. And then let's build on it. Not everyone wants to just jump into that big ocean, right? Tomorrow, we're going to say, how can we take these necessary stepping stones? And then I'll add a little bit too, that I got into this work because I've always been so passionate about helping small businesses and minority-owned businesses, and particularly Black businesses. As an entrepreneur myself, I've always learned from my family that, you look ahead, or you have that mentor that reaches back and teaches you what it is and what steps that they've taken. You've got that person that's alongside of you too, that's your ride or die, right? He's on this for, with you. They're on the path with you. And then you have those businesses, of course, that you reach back for, and that you say, hey, come on, let me show you how you can do this more efficiently, a lot better, and how we can help one another, so that that continuation goes on. And ultimately, it's about, sustainability for all businesses too. So that's what we do.
Well, you have your hands full, and on behalf of all of the suppliers and soon to be business owners that will be connected to you, thank you for the great work that you're doing. So guys, if you have never heard of Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council, please make sure that you check that out, check out their website, hit them up on social. It's a great organization to be connected to. Next, we have Mr. Trez Pugh. Trez is a serial entrepreneur doing amazing work in Chicago, probably known most for those amazing coffee shops that he started on the South Side. And so, Trez, what I want you to talk to us a little bit about is starting those coffee shops and why you decided to have them on the South Side. We know that there is a particular coffee shop that has a monopoly here in Chicago. We won't call out their names, but it's, people walk around with their mugs downtown. But for us, we know that you've been able to have a place in this market on the South Side, and you're doing extremely well. So talk to us about why you decided to move forward with that, and why you weren't intimidated by the big boys.
First of all, thanks for allowing me to be on this panel. I apologize I had to pull over so I can get online because I'm in between meetings. I supposed to be out in Matson at a meeting, but I'd already committed to you guys. So I was like, let me pull over and find somewhere to park, hit the hot spot, and start talking. So forgive me if you can see trees and everything. I don't even know where I'm at. I pulled over somewhere where I won't get hit. So again, it's an honor to be on the panel with such distinguished business owners. Well, first of all, like I said, I didn't have intention on opening up coffee houses. I was in real estate. For those of you that don't know me, I used to be a federal agent. A lot of people didn't know that when I had coffee houses. So they always used to wonder why I used to run in, run out, and never had time. Well, I was on my way to a, grand jury. I was about to kick a door in or put bracelets on somebody or whatever it may have been. But I still was able to try to maintain the integrity of the coffee houses at 2 and 3 in the morning doing the behind the scenes thing. But what got me started, a couple childhood friends that was really big in the coffee wanted to rent out the space at 43rd. I never drank coffee, didn't know nothing about coffee. I thought I was just going to be a landlord giving them a hookup because they didn't have no money. Well, lo and behold, they needed capital. They needed somebody who understood business more. They just understood coffee. So I ended up jumping in to try to help them. And as in most businesses and even in some relationships, people have different ideas, different goals, different objectives in life. And it's hard to have business partners. So it didn't really last long. We started off at Bronzeville's Coffee House. But what I was able to do is get a peek into what was the possibility if this thing was ran right. And what I mean by that if you had great customer service, if you made it classy, and you've probably heard me coin this term, the 5 C's: crisp, clean, classy, consistent customer service. Well, I kind of modeled the coffee house after that. I stopped calling it a coffee shop, started calling it a coffee house. So it was a place where coffee and community meet. And you know us as Black folk, whether it's church, whether it's at a club, whether it's at bingo or playing cards, we like to gather. My thing was I wanted us to gather, but instead of talking about other people and negative things, I call the D's: derogatory, detrimental, and depressing crap. Let's talk about creating jobs. Let's talk about economic development. Let's talk about education. Let's talk about civic duties. So that was the real thing I wanted to garner. But trying to do that while working a full-time job was extremely difficult because, as most entrepreneurs know, unless you're a trust fund baby, you don't have capital or have a marketing budget. You don't have time to do a lot of things that's needed as far as cash flow. You're just trying to keep the lights on and pay your few little employees you got. So I found myself struggling with, how do I get this vision out there while at the same time maintaining this excellence? So I prayed on it, and I didn't sleep a lot. I asked family to help out. I ran up credit cards. I went and got investors because banks don't give us money unless you already have money. So I went through a lot of that. And what I ended up finding out was some of the heaviest people in Bronzeville would come through there and start talking. And I started calling it the Ear Hustle Cafe. If you just shut your mouth and tilt your ear, you're going to learn something about marketing, real estate, religion. They dibble and dabble in relationships, sports, web design. So what I started realizing was this place is a place where jobs can be created, networking can be done, and relationships, which I can't stress this enough to whoever's listening, relationships are monumental, especially when you in it to win. If you find people or surround yourself with people that want you to win, I mean, authentically feel good about what you're doing, want to be a part of what you're doing. So I started feeling that there. So I just tried to replicate it. I started getting into what's going on in the community, try to bring them in and get input from the community. What would you better like here? So I started having things like I'm doing now, free seminars. I'll bring my attorney in, and for 2 hours, I'll pay for him to answer anything on wills, trust, when family members die, how you go through losing your house. I bring my accountant in and talk about what are you doing with your money. I bring my real estate investor and agent in to talk about what are you doing with your property. So it morphed into more than just a coffee house. It became an experience. It became everyone's coffee house. Let's go here and see what we could do positive, who we could meet, how we could make a difference. And for those who follow me, I got the Pugh Chronicles. I'm always either sipping on some bourbon or playing with my dogs, but I always try to throw out some nuggets on. Be very leery of seeing the bright light. Everybody got the business. Because behind the scenes, you got that gas, light, water, insurance, taxes, payroll, your accountant, your attorney, equipment, marketing. So I just try to always balance the two. So that what really inspired me and drove me to want to keep pushing to show people that they need to see it to be it.
And let me just tell you, you are an amazing example. And we appreciate the space that you've created for people to be able to gather, to connect, and to hopefully collectively move some things forward that can ultimately transform our community. So thank you for providing that space in our community, Trez. You are doing great work. So let's talk about being Black business owners in this day and age. So as you guys know, it feels like a paradigm shifted after the murder of George Floyd. Can you guys share a little bit about how that incident, how that murder shifted your business or changed your business or how you do business? And we'll start with you, Kimberly.
Sure. 2020, I just, that is now a metaphor, right? It was all kinds of things that went wrong or went right for people in 2020, whether it was enlightenment, whether it was, finding out more battles they could fight, how they could help, how they could be allies, how they could get involved and get in the trenches. how they can start businesses, how they could, take the time for themselves and recognize that you only got one life. This is not a practice, this is it. So there were a lot of things and realizations that happened last year, and that George Floyd also, again, as a metaphor, once that happened, a lot of businesses stepped up and made remarks, but we were one of them. I was one of the businesses that stepped up. I stepped up early and said what I had to say. But it's all about where are you now as well, right? Was it just something to do because Nike did it, because all these major companies did it, or was it something that you believed in, and you continue to follow up on? So I think it raised a lot of awareness, and it changed how people interact with each other and how we do business with each other, and it changed the purview that we have and the light that we look at other people in as well.
And Vince, how did it potentially shift how you guys were providing support to business owners? As Kimberly,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, as Kimberly mentioned, what we saw a lot, and I would imagine just from the supplier perspective, we saw a lot of huge corporations standing up and making commitments to engage with Black-owned businesses. How did you see that shift in the amount of businesses amount of suppliers that were now starting to engage with businesses, and how did maybe that shift your organization's role in supporting your members?
Absolutely, yeah. And so, 2020 was definitely an interesting year, as Kimberly said, a metaphor, right, for really what's happening. I think what it's proved for a lot of minority-owned businesses, particularly Black businesses, is that we are adaptable, we're resilient, we're able to pivot on a moment's notice. If you look at the statistics, I think it showed that many Black businesses failed within the first 6 months of the pandemic due to either improper planning or not having, succession planning in place, or any of the things that come along with just challenges, any type of economic disruption, if you will. And that's what my organization has I took over during the pandemic. So as you can imagine, I had hair before then. And it was a test. It was a test and a testament, if you will, to, I think, just really what we can do from a business perspective. You're right. I saw a lot of our corporate members, these large corporations, reach out saying, how can we help? How can we provide you with either resources, access to marketing, access to capital, all of the things that are necessary for businesses to kind of get through this. But as you saw, and I'm sure, BACP probably experienced too, many of our members weren't able to secure PPP loans, even from their financial institutions that they had been with since their inception. And so we as an organization identified other organizations, other smaller access to capital, or organizations that could provide those PPP loans and that assistance. Being certified is not an easy process. It's something that we always push out there too. What we want our businesses and those that engage with us to know that, this isn't meant for everyone, right? It's kind of like, this is how you know your business, your I's, your T's are crossed. You are truly the owner and operator of your businesses. And that's what corporations look for. I think many businesses experienced that when they were applying for the PPP loan. They saw that, wow, there's so much information that they're at.
Is that me or is it Vince?
I think that's Vince.
Guys, for those that joined us late, Vince is joining us from the sunny shores of San Juan, Puerto Rico. So he just went out for a little bit, but I'm sure he'll be back. And so Trez, maybe we can go to you while Vincent is trying to get back in. Can you talk to us a little bit about how things shifted for you and your business model last year?
Vince kind of hit it on the head. You know, one of the things that happened, not only with COVID and with the unrest, is it really tested businesses as far as how were you on your paperwork? You know, were you diligent and all the administrative stuff that goes on behind the scene? And I tell you what, you know, a lot of people used to joke and bother me all the time. Every time we see you, you got a computer out or you on your phone. Well, I wasn't texting or nothing. I'd be in Dropbox trying to get my permits together. I'm trying to get I'm serious, all my licensing and everything, because when the stuff hit the fan, a lot of business was like, we about to get a lot of money. And I knew some of these businesses. I'm saying to myself, you ain't about to get diddly, because you're paying some of your employees in cash. You don't have 941s. You ain't filed income tax. And I was always, being a employee of the government, I know how the government works. They're particular, they're meticulous. And I mean, you can already have everything in order. They still gonna ask you to jump through hoops 2 times over and then do the limbo up under one of the poles. So we have to be 3 times as good as everybody else. I said that to say this. It's good if your place look nice. It's good if you got great employees and the product and the service is tight. But if you ain't got your paperwork in order, let me tell you, it will be a sticker on your door in no time and they will shut you down. So if you don't hear anything I'm saying, listen to this. Make sure you pay your taxes. That be payroll, your sales tax, your 7525 tax, and whatever other taxes my accountant had to pay. I only see it every once in a while when I pay it. Make sure your license are up to date. Ensure that you got a certificate of good standing. Make sure you got all of your bank statements in order. I would highly suggest either putting it in a Google Doc or in a Dropbox with a folder each month, password protected. So when somebody need it, you could shoot it to your accountant or to whoever's doing your paperwork. So when these grants come up or when these loans come up, I could do stuff from driving right now. My accountant can call me when I'm on the expressway. Trez, I need XYZ. Look in the Dropbox. Princess is under your folder under file 3. That's why she loves me. So I ain't got to wait till I get back to the office so I could fax it or I could email. Time is money. I'm going to just be real with you. So you want to have instantaneous data. You want the data to be accurate. And you don't want to be out there on no BS because they're going to call you on it one way or another. So I was fortunate enough to be that nerd that made sure everything was in order, showing how much money I lost and how I struggled and how I needed help. And I was able to get a bunch of these loans and grants and all that helped out. Didn't put me out of the water, but it helped. And because of friends, family, credit cards, my retirement, everything, I was able to survive by being creative, innovative, and like Vince was saying, being able to pivot and being humble enough to understand that, you know, what was working before may not work. So you need to be able to, you know, do some different things to get different rivers of revenue coming in. Not streams, rivers, because them streams kind of small. So that was one of the things I made sure that I tell anybody when I talk to them about. When this stuff hit, it devastated a lot of people, but it snatched the covers off a lot of people too. What it did was unveil how cold are you with your paperwork, with your organizational skill, how resilient are you? Do you have the gumption to do what it needs to do? You kept putting stuff off. Now it's time to get money. You like, man, I wish I would have, could have. So if there's anything I could say, and I'll wrap it up with a bow with this, stay on top of your paperwork. Put yourself on your calendar a couple days out the week to sit your butt down somewhere, get in the room, and do your paperwork.
That is amazing advice, Trez. Can I just tell you, like, guys, if you can take one thing away from today's conversation, make sure that your house is in order. Here in the city of Chicago, last year, we set up over $100 million in programs and grants as well as loans. And one of the challenges that we saw, particularly in communities of color, is that, you know, a lot of people weren't licensed, or a lot of people didn't have the documentation required for many of our programs. And so for us to be good stewards over these dollars, we have to ensure that people have their paperwork in order. And so as we're moving towards recovery, guys, there are going to be additional opportunities for grants, for funding to support your business. The state currently has $250 million available in grants that's open right now. But it requires you to submit documentation to, one, prove that you have a business, but then two, that you have all of, again, as Trez said, your house in order. And so just make sure, guys, that again, that as once we're done with this panel conversation, take a look at how your business is structured. Are you licensed? Do you have a business bank account? And if you have the ability to have an accountant, make sure that you have an accountant that can ensure that you're paying your taxes, and that you're doing everything that you're supposed to do in terms of having your business structured correctly. Thank you so much for those gems, Trez. And I really do, love the one statement that I'm just going to put a pin in is not rivers. Was it no rivers? No streams, because streams will dry up. They're small. We want rivers.
Rivers of revenue. Rivers of revenue.
We want rivers of revenue. Somebody put that in the chat so we can pin that and remember that one. We're gonna have to trademark that to you, Trez. So let's talk about rivers of revenue. So we understand, particularly for entrepreneurs of color, that obtaining capital, particularly when we're starting our businesses, can be a challenge. Can you guys talk a little bit about your experience with finding the capital to start your business? Did you do it the traditional way? Did you do it in an unconventional way? Share with us some tidbits that can hopefully help our attendees. Kim, can we start with you?
Sure. Definitely not the conventional way. I think Trez already mentioned, as well as Vince, banks don't lend money until you don't need their money, right? And we needed the money. So we had to go through different ways. I mean, there's all kinds of ways. Obviously, your own savings, your own 401ks, family and friends, and then you have things like factoring or asset-based lending and just different programs that you can go through, getting a micro loan from places like Axion, and I think the CMSDC has other programs as well, but and the WBDC has other programs as well. So there are different ways to go about receiving what you may need to get your business started. So don't be disappointed and don't be discouraged just because Bank of America told you to step. There are other ways to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll add to that too, Kenya. I think it's great, again, for entrepreneurs that are seeking to reach the access to capital. And I always couple it with, it's not just the access to capital that you're looking for, because you can get this information. Sorry about that. But we want to make sure that you got access to customers, right? That you're not just going to end up getting this capital to increase inventory, and that inventory is not going to move afterwards, right? So they kind of go hand in hand. And then you want to reach out to as many of your friends, families, colleagues. There are investors out there. There are a number of opportunities, but this also allows you the opportunity to learn more about your business and how that business could end up, scaling, if you will, through it. So there's a couple of different things that'll happen with it.
And to that, Vince, you got to have a plan. You cannot just walk into anything without a plan. Because even your friends that they want to invest in you want to know what you're going to do with the money. And if you say, hey, listen, I don't know, I just have a vision, that's not where I want to put my money. I don't want to put my money with you and you say you want to, do X, Y, Z, but you don't tell me how you're going to do it and how you're going to get to the levels of where, you can be successful and I can watch you grow and I can participate in your growth. You just say, I need some money. That's not gonna, gonna fly.
Yeah, and if I can just add, them are great points. When you getting this money, they need to know that it ain't gonna get turned around yesterday. They need to know it's usually a long-term investment, whether it be training, research and development, a marketing budget, new equipment. Make sure you're dealing with sensible people when they give you money. You don't want them to give you money and expect to get it back in 6 months or less than a year. So make sure you're communicating to the people you're getting this money from. Listen, this is my projection. This is what I like to see. We'll look at the numbers every 30, 60, 90, 120 days, see where we're trending. If it's not trending the right way, let's look and institute some more things. And, I just really think Kim said it best. Have a plan. Don't go out there willy-nilly and get money, because you'll be at the Jimmy Choo store and Louis Vuitton getting a car. I mean, people do it. They think that money going to last forever. You want to put that money into your business to the point that it's going to give you a nice ROI, a nice return on the investment. And that's usually investing in your employees and training. That's marketing, if it's done correctly. That's making sure you got the right equipment, the place is clean and look nice. And then that's great customer service. If you're in the customer service business, if you're into just products and all that, making sure your product is pristine.
Great advice. Guys, thank you so much. Capital does play a huge role and grow their business, but to your point, it has to be the right capital, and you have to, if you're able to access that capital, use it in the right way. So guys, you all are amazing entrepreneurs, and can I just say great people too. And sometimes you don't find people that are both, but you guys are both great people as well as great entrepreneurs. Share with us some things that have surprised you in your journey of entrepreneurship. So what's one thing that over the course of starting and for you all growing your business that you had to take a step back and you were like, oh my God, I would have never imagined that this would have happened?
I could start right away. Usually with capital, you always underestimate how much you need. I don't care how much you think you need. What killed me was, and I dumped a ton of money in because I was in real estate. I'm saying I know 6 figures is more than enough to start coffee. Already own the building. I had to hook up with the contractor, so the build out didn't cost me that much. Let me throw 100 in the bank. You think you need 100, you need 175. You think you need 200, you better get $250,000 and more, because them sunken costs, unexpected costs, the little nickel and diming you got to go through, whether it be vendors, accountants, attorneys, unforeseen problems that come up with, whether it be insurance or equipment failure, it never fails. Never fails. So what surprised me is you think you're putting a lot of money in something, it goes quickly. That's why the PPP and all that, and believe me, I was glad as hell to get it. I danced the jig when it came, but it was gone in less than 30 days. It didn't take long at all for that money to dwindle up. And I promise you, I was squeezing pennies to the copper jump off. And I still couldn't hold on to that money because I had to pay vendors. I had to catch up on sales tax. I had already danced and made deals with my other vendors in the city that I'll get to them for the loss of revenue. Once you start paying everybody back, you're down to nothing again. So the thing that shocked me more than anything is you always need more capital.
Those are good points. For me, what surprised me the most was how people took to my nonprofit. So we started a nonprofit just to get the awareness out, just to bring more people of color, all people of color, into the STEM field. I'm biased, into the engineering field. And I didn't think I would be met with such open arms, but we were. And there were a lot of, people at the CPS offices that participate, my clients, my customers, my colleagues, that all were like, hey, you need mentorship, you need volunteers, what do you need? And it's not always just about finance. It's not just about money. I can give scholarships away, but what are they going to do once they get to school, once they get to college and they're by themselves, never been outside of Chicago, most of them, and then they go to a school and they're studying something that it's not a lot of them in the class to begin with. Who are they going to call on? So being able to provide those types of resources and opportunities, I didn't think would kick off as well as it did. I'm happy that it did, but that was one of my aha moments.
Yeah, all good points too. I think for me, it was really finding out, who your supporters are. Being an entrepreneur, you think that, hey, my family is going to support this. My friends are going to, be customers, loyal customers, if you will. And they're going to support you. They're going to understand what challenges you're going to go through. They're going to understand the anxieties that you experience. And whatever their subject matter expertise is, if they're an accountant, if they're an attorney or something there, you just automatically assume too that they're going to provide that services to you, hopefully at a heavily discounted or family discounted rate, right? But that doesn't necessarily always happen. And then as time goes on, I find that you end up running into, for lack of a better word, those haters, those crabs in the barrel that just want to pull you down too, because they're seeing you succeed as well. And I don't know if it's just their own insecurities as to why they're not assisting or helping, but you have to kind of deal with those challenges and then identify other individuals like the Kims and the Trez that will help support you too, that you can say, hey, we're all going through this together. Let's help one another out. Let's be that network, that ecosystem that we're trying to create. And then reaching out to organizations like BACP too to assist in it. But that was, like Kim said, that was that aha moment when you just assume, if you will, that you were going to have that support network and really not have that at all.
Let's talk about that support network. August is Black Business Month. Share with us ways that you guys are celebrating this month and how are you supporting other Black entrepreneurs?
Yeah, sure. I'll start off with it. So at the council, we pride ourselves on certifying minority-owned businesses, and our membership, of course, Black, Latino, Asian, which is inclusive of Asian Indian and Asian Pacific, and then Native American. And we have over 1,000 certified minority businesses. Of that 1,000, about 430 of them are Black businesses, which is outstanding. And so when you have corporations like the Allstates and the Walgreens and the Walmarts of the world reach out saying, hey, we're looking to intentionally support a Black-owned business, but we can't find them, I call bullshit. I've got over 420 something of them representing all industries. Why have you not reached out to utilize some of them? And then it's also a process too. What we're doing, particularly during Black Business Month, is on our social media and in our weekly news that goes out to about 5,000 individuals. We're sharing and showcasing and highlighting and celebrating those businesses that have been with us for a number of years. I mentioned earlier, we're 54 years young. We've only been at this since 1968. The certification process, again, as many know, it's not an easy one, but it's not meant to be easy. We don't want other individuals to come in to try to take advantage of these advantages, if you will, or opportunities that some of these corporations are presenting, particularly for these types of businesses. And so if that process was going to be easy, as you know, there's tons of nefarious characters out there. Many people will try to get in there. And I can tell you, for the 50 certified businesses that have come out of our system this month, 25 of them, outside of those, were ones that were erroneously trying to take advantage of the certification and were not certifiable. And so those are the types of things that you look for. But it's about celebrating, again, this ecosystem, coming together, sharing the resources, letting individuals know that Black businesses aren't just, the contractors or the janitorial and sanitation companies. Yes, those are great, viable businesses. They are those that are in professional services, in engineering, providing services like, what Trez does, and then, the food services and catering. I mean, there's just so much more to it. The real estate services, the marketing services. We're representative of literally every single industry, and that should be taken into consideration when people, again, are intentionally looking to support these businesses. As you mentioned earlier, Kenya, a lot of businesses have reached out, particularly after the civil unrest, to intentionally want to work with these businesses. And what we want to do as an organization is make sure that it's not just 1 year and done, or once this passes by, if you will, that, oh, I felt good, it was on my social media, and, now I can get off this train. No, we want you to commit to it. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. This is how we're all able to keep things going, pass on generational wealth, making sure that, all of our communities are thriving, if you will.
And so, Kimberly, what are some of the ways that you're celebrating Black Business Month? And you talked about your nonprofit. How are you supporting others? And then one question that I forgot to ask, which is incredibly important, how can we support you?
I appreciate that question. Listen, I celebrate my business 24 hours a day, 365 days a week. So I am going to celebrate our businesses all year round. But
Yes.
In terms of the nonprofit, it is for any Chicago public school student looking for summer school programs when they can't get into other programs, looking to learn more and engage about STEM, looking for mentors. We have volunteers from almost every STEM industry, aviation down to food service, down to water, wastewater, to aviation, whatever it is, that volunteer in our program. So if you have high schoolers that are looking for a program or looking for mentors, we have volunteers. Just go to our website. It's calculatedgenius.org. We'll be able to point people in the right direction. The scholarships, however, are for women. Why? Because I'm a woman and I want it to be that, and it's my money. So before anybody asks,
There you go.
but the programming is for all CPS students.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Kimberly. If we could put Calculated Genius, one of my team members, make sure that we put that in the chat. So for people that are interested to learn more information, they can go there. And so Trez, what are you doing for Black Business Month, and what can we do to support you?
Well, what I'll start doing is, and I don't know if you've been following me, but I've shut down 47th Street from being a coffee house. It's like a venue for rental and a training facility for people, anybody in hospitality, because all the construction that was going on around there, and let's just be honest, I'm way ahead of my time over there on 47th. A lot of people are just not ready to come in there. I went through that 43rd where people would look in and just wouldn't come. So I had to pivot. So what I'm doing is, there's a lot of businesses out here, vis-a-vis those women that sell earrings. You got people that, are chefs. They do like little pop-ups. You got people that do concealed carry, cleaning services. You got people that sell jewelry, wrist candy, like what I wear. And they can't afford brick and mortar. And they selling stuff out the trunk of their car or in a church. What I've done is did this Black business venture where I opened up. I got 7,000 square feet, a lot of people didn't know about, right next to my coffee house. And I opened it up. And so for $150, they could come in there and sell into their heart desires. And what they do when they get in there to sell, they not only get that space, I usually bring in a DJ or some music, and then I give you all of my social media outlets to give me your logo. I got about 20-something thousand people I could reach on my rewards program, close to 10,000 on Instagram and 5,000 on Facebook. So you're talking about 35,000 people. If you get 1% of that to just come and peek at your stuff that wouldn't normally see it, you probably can start generating some revenue. So last time I did it, and it was the first time I did it a couple of weeks ago, I had 16 vendors in there. And every last one of them except one made money. And I'm telling you, a couple young ladies cried and hugged me, and it felt so good. It felt so damn good to be able to help somebody that was going through something. Because so often, we do this thing called, and I coined it, is it a moment or is it a movement? We're like, we're going to stick together. We're going to do this. It'd be a moment. You look up 2 weeks later, where everybody at? But a movement is you don't stop. You continue to come there. You continue to support. You continue to tell everybody. You become an ambassador for these businesses. Hey, come check out old girl. Kim them killing it. Vince doing this. Y'all don't need to go here no more. it helps us help us. And we all we got when it comes to that. And when we pool our money together, man, we are so powerful. We are so powerful. So that's what I'm doing I'm doing it not only for the Black business, but I'm doing it for the rest of my life. I want you to come out. If you want something serious, your business is legit, and you want to get it out to people, I'm going to try to get it out to people because we should be helping each other. So again, is it a moment or is it a movement? Are we going to help each other or is it just something we talk about because it's fashionable? It's a fad at that time. That's all I got.
I love that, Trez, man. If you don't mind, count me in, brother. Let me
Yeah.
come out and provide some business resources for the community. We can teach you about certification. We can teach you about the grants that are available, access to capital.
Let's do it.
Yeah, all that in
I'm
there.
gonna
I
hit you
love
up
it, man.
after this, man. We put our minds together. Ain't nothing we can't do.
For sure.
Love that. Love the connection that's happening here. And I see connections that are happening also in the chat. So we have just a lightning round of questions that I'm going to ask you guys. They're fun questions, guys.
I'm always scared of the lightning round.
Yeah, we're always scared of the lightning round. But while we're doing this, guys, if you have questions, we ask that you put them in the chat and I'll be reading through them. So let's get started with the lightning round. And we'll start first with you, Vincent, since you said that you're nervous about lightning round questions.
Sure
Okay,
did.
so what book or podcast are you currently reading or listening to?
Oh, wow. Well, again, I am on vacation. I'm actually reading Change Agent by James Laurie. James Laurie is an incredible Chicago staple, right? That did a lot with supplier diversity, particularly with Harold Washington back in the day. And I look at myself now in this position as president and CEO as being a change agent. And so I want to make sure that I'm looking at what those before me have put in place so that the ideas and the thought leadership that I'm bringing to the table can be a continuation of that, because it's not reinventing the wheel, right? It's kind of taking it and perfecting it, maybe adding some bling to it and then moving that forward. And then on the podcast side, I actually started a podcast when I came in as the new president and CEO. It's called #BuyDiverse, BUY Diverse. And it's on WGN Radio here in Chicago, the voice of Chicago business, about 1 million listeners. And what we do on this podcast is we talk to our minority business suppliers, we talk to our minority or our strategic partners, and then we talk to municipalities. And so, Kenya, I'd love to invite you onto the show to talk about some of the initiatives that you have going there. We have some of our elected officials that come on to talk about the advocacy work that we do for businesses, particularly Black businesses. And then we have the actual minority business owners themselves come on to talk about, again, what challenges they're continuing to have, what successes they've been having as well. We don't want it to just be all about, the challenges they continue to have. I know many businesses that had very, very strong and positive revenue increases during the pandemic. And it's because they did pivot. They were kind of forced, their hand was forced at it. But I always look at it as when one door closes, 15 others open, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I would love to join you for a conversation, Vincent. And
Awesome.
again, guys, we are just super excited to have Vincent here on his birthday in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So next
Thanks.
lightning round question. When you need to veg out, other than laying on the beach in San Juan, what is your favorite Netflix binge?
I actually am not a television watcher at all, y'all. Not at all. I haven't seen anything on TV, anything. I'm kind of a news head, so I'll watch some of that. But yeah, when you,
For sure.
And as most entrepreneurs know, we're always on our hustle.
That's
I
right.
cannot do this. I cannot get this better. Or reading a book here, talking to someone else there. But I guess if I had to do some television things, it would be, I like The Prophet. And that's that guy that goes around and identifies some more businesses that he can purchase and buy, and what he looks at, their EBITDA, everything there. Good ways of growing.
Awesome. And so, what do you do to, as you mentioned, being an entrepreneur, you have tons of balls in the air. You're always on the go. When you need to take a step back and relax, what do you do to recenter and realign and relax?
Yeah, actually, Kim taught me a little bit about this. It's meditation. It's really about sitting back, taking your time. I've downloaded the Calm app
Okay.
to pull everything in. It can be overwhelming, especially when you run an organization. We handle all of Greater Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and then I have a space down in St. Louis, Missouri for certified businesses. And during a pandemic where you can't get together, I mean, this has been challenging for a lot of people, particularly business owners too, and entrepreneurs. And I think for me, I'm a jazz head too. So Trez, we're gonna look at doing some jazz over there, man.
Indeed. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, and just I'm a huge advocate on supporting small businesses too, and so outreach in there. But again, intentionally going into the communities, trying to identify, hey, how can we support? What can we do there? And things there. But it's all for the betterment and the sustainability for us as a community here in Chicago too. So
Thank you so much, Vincent.
yeah, sure thing.
Okay, Trez,
Mhm.
what book or podcast are you listening to or reading?
I'm kind of like Vince. I really don't have when I'm reading something, it's usually reports and documents. I got 5 locations. I have, I don't know if you know, but I rent out to disabled vets, recovering addicts, and otherwise homeless people. I've been doing for 30 years. So I'm going to be totally honest. I'm always busy. People always ask, when do you sleep? Well, I was in the Marine Corps. We call it sleeping fast. I try to get in the bed before 1, but I'm up by 3:30 or 4. Sleeping fast is 2 to 3 hours. Now, granted, that isn't a good thing to do, but my mind is constantly racing all the time.
Yeah.
Most entrepreneurs do. What can I do to improve the processes? Did I get enough done? What I'm going to do in the morning? People say, who does your social media? Well, that'd be me. I don't have a social media. I do it at 1 in the morning.
Oh, that's you, Trez? I thought it was
Yeah.
somebody else. It's you?
No, all them Pugh Chronicles, the Trez talks, and all the other goofy stuff I do.
That's you.
It's to bring people in and let them know I'm a regular dude. Don't think it's everything you think. So for me, I don't have time to look at TV or read. I struggle with balance, and I'm just honest. I'm being transparent as I can be. I was speaking at the University of Chicago, and I told some students that. They're like, well, how do you do? I don't. And I struggle with it, and I need to. I need to put myself on my calendar like I put everybody else on it and just go somewhere. But when I do, I try to get to the gym. I go to LA Fatness and swim a few laps.
Wait, did you say LA Fatness?
Yeah, LA Fatness. I go to the steam room or somewhere, but it's short-lived because I'm in there and I come out and it's, okay, what's going on at this location, that location? You short employees. You got to work a shift. Got to go shopping, check with and again, it shouldn't be like this. For those that are listening, you have to find balance. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, you're almost a chameleon. You got to get in and become the color of what's needed. I can't close my place down in Hyde Park. That place is money maker. When employees don't show up, guess who's going to be there? Daddy. I'm going to get up at 4:30 or 5, hit that shower, kiss my dogs and hug my wife. And I'm going to be up there making lattes and mochas, smiling and welcoming people because we're cut from a different cloth. We're cut from a different cloth. So I don't know when I'll have time to look at a movie or read a book. Now I have on my phone, just got away from everything and went to the lake and opened up and look at, I like documentaries about stuff. Documentaries. I like to look at stuff like war. I was in the Marine Corps, what happened in history and all that. But that's short.
Yeah. Only when you have a second, and that's very rare. But maybe Kimberly can tell us about some ways that she's maintaining balance. Vincent shared that she has helped.
I can't. Nope.
No.
Oh,
Oh, wait a minute. This is unreal. I've not had a panel conversation where nobody.
I go to Vegas. I just came back from Vegas. That's my first trip all year. I went to Vegas.
Oh wow.
That was my get out of here. But I was still on my phone. I was on my phone and my computer in Vegas at the pool doing work. I was just doing work from a different location, but I was still doing work. So my podcast though is How I Built This by Guy Raz. So I would suggest that any entrepreneur take a listen to that podcast whenever they just put something in your ear while you're working out or driving or something. But they interview a lot of well-known companies, and you'll be surprised at the issues that you think you're having, that you think you're the only one in the world. that has happened, how all of these companies have gone through those same issues, and how they came out of it. And then you'll find some nuggets in that podcast, I think. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it feels like the only way that we can strike a balance is like without you guys being on phones and waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning is to get away from Chicago, even if it's for a little bit. So Vincent, next time when you're planning a trip to San Juan or someplace warm, include this group and we'll check our availability. Maybe we can steal away a day or two to relax and to find some balance. But before we head to the questions from our attendees, I want to give a great big thank you to Kimberly, Trez, and Vincent for joining us today, guys. We do not take it lightly that you've carved out a little bit over an hour to share nuggets with our attendees. We know that you guys are extremely busy, but sharing your journeys and sharing your stories and providing insights, I think has proved to be incredibly helpful, at least from some of the feedback that we're getting in the chat. And this will be able to live on for others to be able to listen to because it's recorded and we will make sure that it's on YouTube. But a great big thank you to the great work that you guys are doing, not only in your business, but how you're supporting other entrepreneurs and small business owners here in Chicago. So I think we have a couple of questions, a lot of conversations here in the chat. We'd love to see it. Just gonna scroll up. Someone said, what's the best way to request a mentor? I guess they're a small business owner and looking to find just like support as they're maybe even starting or growing their business. Vincent, can you answer that one?
Yeah, sure can. There's a couple of organizations out that really help. You know, my organization, Chicago MSDC, has mentoring opportunities and mentor protege opportunities. There's another one that you work very closely with, Kenya Score, that provides mentors to them. And then don't be afraid to ask another business owner, someone that you look up to, someone that you admire. Many times they want to share, you know, again, what challenges they had. They don't want you to go through that same, you know, negative experience or having, you know, to fail fast with it. So don't be afraid of that. But also don't be afraid to identify that some mentors can be not necessarily the best for you, right? Meaning the information that they're providing you is not just bond, right? The word is what they're telling you is not accurate or exactly what you should do. You still have to kind of tweak it and make sure that it applies to you best or how you can fold it into your philosophy, your mission, your vision of what you're doing with your business.
And then Kimberly, one for you. What was your entry point into the and I guess engineering industry, which is typically white male dominated?
I started at a nuclear power plant when I graduated from college.
Oh wow.
There was literally zero diversity at that power plant.
Mm-hmm.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, you kind of like just thrown into the fire, and have adapted really well and are now truly an example of what can happen when you stay focused and committed. And so Trez, someone asked, are vendors able to rent shelf space in your shop? So I would imagine this person maybe has some type of good, probably food, and they want to know, can they potentially partner with you on that?
Right now, we're not adding anything else to our menu. We pretty much scaling back due to what's been going on with COVID and the sales. But if that person has a product that they think will move, I would highly recommend them coming to the pop-up, and I will blast it out to the 30,000 plus and say, this person got a great product, and everything you make will be pure profit instead of me hitting you over the head with a cost or taxing you. You pay a one-time fee and you could sell it till you pass out. That would be my advice to you, because right now I'm not taking on anything extra. Right now I'm trying to maintain and be consistent with what I have. I'm not in the room for growth right now, and that's just being real.
Yeah, that's great advice. And Trez, I'm gonna stay with you for a second.
Sure.
You have multiple locations. How do you learn to delegate responsibilities and trust your staff will keep up the same customer service and the level of excellence that you would as the owner.
That's not a learned behavior. You don't learn to do that. I mean, people have to be instilled with that. Just like telling somebody you could learn to be heroic, or you could learn to be honest. It's either in you or it's not.
Yeah.
And as a leader or as a owner, it's indicative of me to be able to see what qualities or characteristics the person have and use them qualities. I mean, what you do for one, you can't do for the other. They always said treat everybody alike. I never agreed with that. You treat people how they need to be treated to get the maximum amount of productivity out of them by doing it with respect and dignity. You know, if Kimberly and Vince work for me, Vince may be one of them dudes. So I got to put my foot in his butt sideways to get him to perform. Kim, I may have to hug her and sing Kumbaya. But if I know that's what it takes, I should be versatile enough. Well, I got my man over there killing it because I got my foot up his butt, and Kim killing it because we singing. And I'll just end with this. If you a person and you don't have a lot of tools in your toolkit, and I've said this before, if the only tool you got is a hammer, everybody looks like a nail. So you're around there just beating on everybody. And you know what? You kill their will to want to work for you.
Yeah. Good stuff, Trez. Good stuff. And then just the last question that we have, Vincent, I think people may need help with the certification process. I think you put the link to the Supplier Council in the chat. Maybe we want to do that again so that people
I'll place it in there again. We've got a ton of resources. We've got some videos too, as well, that helps you through the process, as well as a checklist. Now that we had planned on between now and the end of the year, providing some more in-person workshops where, you could come in, talk with us, actually sit down and talk about, what necessary steps are for it, listen to those that have got certified and find out how they're utilizing it and engaging it, and then talk with some others that continue to get certified, some of the advantages there too. Again, it's just all about your business and how you can help it grow, everything there. But I'm looking to get out more into the community. So again, this is where Trez and I, Kim and I, we're going to get together and say, hey, how can we get this again in front of more of these businesses? So look for this trio right here, y'all.
Love it. I love it.
I absolutely
love it. And then Kimberly, someone asked for the podcast that you mentioned earlier again.
Kim,
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, that was the end of the questions. Lots of birthday shout outs for Vincent. Happy birthday. Hope you're enjoying your time on the beach. Again, thank you to each of our panelists. So very much appreciate you guys. You are an inspiration to all. Thank you for our attendees for joining us today. Happy Black Business Month. As Trez mentioned, it is not just a moment, it's a movement. Not only support Black businesses during Black History Month or Black Business Month or Juneteenth, but make sure that you're doing it all the time and that it's just a part of your lifestyle and you're making that choice to support Black-owned businesses all the time. Correct myself, that you are buying from and going to Black-owned business, because it's not support, there is an exchange there, right? But it's just a part of where you're going and a part of your daily lifestyle. So make sure you're hitting up our Black-owned businesses here in Chicago. Thank you guys so much again for joining us.
Real quick before you sign off, you're going to send the link to all of us for this recording, because I would like to use this as a training tool for some of the people that come to the coffee house that want to know about businesses, because the information that was shared here today by Kim and Vincent was fire. And they need to hear this.
Yes, it was. All of you guys were amazing. So we will have this link available, and it will also be on our YouTube channel. And maybe what we do, we have this like Stella as a series, as Vincent said, this is the trio that we bring back maybe once a quarter.
This was awesome, Kenya.
Maybe we do this on a regular basis, but we will make sure that you have it, Trez. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will let you go and get back to work. I appreciate you guys so much.
All right, take care, y'all.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.